Okay, so let's unpack this idea. Imagine your wine cellar, right? It's not just for, future enjoyment or maybe a long-term investment. What if it could actually be a source of immediate capital, like right now? We're exploring the idea that a really prized bottle of wine, it could be more than just a fantastic drink. It might just be a key to unlocking significant funds maybe when you need them. So today, we're doing a deep dive into this fascinating world of fine wine as a tangible, high-value asset. We'll look specifically at how you could potentially use it to secure it alone. We're going to touch on some truly iconic names, understand what makes them so valuable, and really examine the specific criteria that, say, luxury pawnbrokers use when they're assessing these liquid assets.
Yeah, and it really highlights how certain items, like fine wine, they sort of transcend their main purpose, don't they? They become these um, quite powerful financial instruments. It offers a pretty unique and I think surprisingly sophisticated way to get short-term liquidity.
Liquidity meaning how fast you can get cash for it.
Exactly. How quickly and easily you can convert that asset into cash without crucially losing its value.
Huh.
We'll explore how things like provenance, rarity, even artistic elements all add up to give an item real financial clout.
That's a really key point. So, yeah, prepare to think beyond the cellar door today. We're not just talking delicious vintages, we are talking about the titans of terroir.
Terroir, that unique blend of soil, climate, tradition.
Exactly. That gives these wines their character and, for our purposes today, their financial power. Okay, first up in our Titans of Terroir section, we really have to start with the legend, Chateau Lafite Rothschild.
Big one.
If you know fine wine, you definitely know this name. It's consistently seen as one of the world's absolute finest, most luxurious wines from Bordeaux, France. Hugely sought after by collectors, investors, and yes, luxury pawn shops too.
Indeed. And what really sets Lafite apart, I think, beyond just the exceptional quality, is its incredible history. Its
Yeah.
provenance. I mean, the estate itself, owned by the Rothschilds since the 19th century, but the vines, their origins go back to 1680.
1680? Wow, that's centuries of winemaking tradition packed into that name.
Absolutely. And think about the history it's seen.
Right. Like, wasn't it visited by Thomas Jefferson way back in the 18th century? And it survived things like the French Revolution's reign of terror, even occupation during World War II. So how does that kind of dramatic history, that unique journey, how does that specifically affect, say, a pawnbroker's loan assessment? Is it just about, I don't know, the story?
Uh,
Or is it more tangible?
That's a great question. It's definitely multifaceted. For someone assessing the value, that narrative isn't just, a nice story. It's a critical layer of authenticated provenance.
Mhm.
It essentially de-risks the asset. A bottle with that kind of documented, storied past, it's inherently more verifiable, less likely to be counterfeit.
Ah, okay. So it boosts its core value and, I guess, how much people want it.
Precisely. It boosts intrinsic value and, crucially, market desirability. This shows the bigger picture,
Mhm.
how unique heritage really drives value up. Like you said, the story behind the bottle is often as valuable as the liquid inside. Think about this. Back in 1985, a bottle of 1787 Lafite, believed to have been Jefferson's, sold for, wait for it, 105,000 pounds.
Wow, in 1985 pounds.
Exactly. And then in 2010, a rare 1869 Chateau Lafite, it broke records. Sold for an incredible 173,660 pounds for a single bottle. So these figures, they don't just show high value. They prove that unmatched historical provenance, verified, with a continuous legacy that acts as a primary multiplier for collateral value, often makes the story almost as financially potent as the wine itself.
Those numbers are just staggering for Lafite. Really shows the power of heritage. But what about another legend, Chateau Margaux? Its story is also incredibly rich. But the valuation criteria might offer some slightly different lessons for us, right? I mean, this is another world-class wine, heritage going back even further, 12th century, and known for these revolutionary 18th century techniques that, well, them that are still used today.
That's right. And for Margaux, and really for fine wines in general, professional assessors look at several key things. Beyond just the name, they meticulously assess its age, looking for those notable vintage years, indicating rarity and storage conditions. This is absolutely critical. Proper preservation directly impacts the wine's quality and therefore its loan value.
Okay, so things like the condition of the label or if it has the original presentation box, these aren't just like little details for collectors. They actually drive the financial value in this market. Why does something seemingly small, like a perfect label, add so much to the loan value?
Precisely. And yes, it highlights a core principle in luxury asset lending. It's about the perceived completeness and immaculate preservation that signals market readiness and authenticity. Pristine label, original box is not just nice to have. It tells a potential buyer, or us as lenders, that this has been cared for, it's authentic, and it has maximum resale potential.
Control. So it translates directly into higher loan values,
Yeah,
easier liquidity.
exactly. For example, a 1909 Margaux bottle sold for over £7,000 at a New York auction in 2015. And a case of 12 Margaux bottles from the year 2000 vintage went for nearly £29,000 at that same auction. It just underscores how critical every detail is. It shows that in this kind of lending, the little things, the minutiae, they really matter. Not just the name or the year, but that impeccable, verifiable journey right down to how the label looks. It all impacts the assessment of liquidity and loan potential.
Fascinating how these tiny details carry so much financial weight. Okay, our third titan, Chateau Mouton Rothschild. This one was acquired by Baron Nathaniel de Rothschild back in 1853, and apparently his initial idea was pretty simple, just grow his own wine to serve guests, but it quickly became, well, much more.
Yeah, the Mouton Rothschild story is really one of innovation, excellence too. Baron Nathaniel's great-grandson, he introduced two really pivotal changes. First, he pioneered bottling all the wine on site.
State bottling.
Exactly, which is now standard practice for all the top-tier wines, the Grand Vin. It meant much tighter quality control.
Right. And the second innovation, this is the one many people recognize, isn't it? The labels. Starting in 1945, with just a few exceptions, a different famous artist designs each new vintage label.
That's the one.
We're talking huge names. Picasso, Andy Warhol. Their art is right there on the bottle. It's like a fusion of art and agriculture.
Yeah.
So how does something that seems purely aesthetic, like an artist's signature on a label, how does that translate into hard financial value for a loan? Is it treated differently than, say, the vintage year?
That's a really insightful question. It speaks volumes about the power of, let's call it, cultural cachet.
Sure.
Of course, the vintage and the quality of the wine itself are foundational. But these artist design labels from Mouton, they elevate it. It moves beyond being just a liquid asset into being a kind of cultural icon.
Mm-hmm.
This unique artistic branding, it creates this extra layer of desirability, of rarity. It attracts collectors, a broader market maybe, beyond just wine connoisseurs, which means higher demand and therefore more stable, predictable value. That makes it an extremely reliable asset for loans.
Interesting. And the wine itself?
Oh, it's considered one of the absolute finest from Bordeaux. Rich, smooth, a hint of spice, very versatile with food, and generally recommended to be drunk after at least, say, 15 years of maturation. Take the 1945 vintage, for example. Small production year coincided with the end of WWII. A single bottle sells for around £16,000.
16,000 pounds.
Yeah. And a Jeroboam, that's a much larger bottle, about 4 standard ones of that same 45 vintage. It fetched an astonishing £71,700 in Hong Kong in 2012.
71,000.
Made it one of the most expensive ever sold. So that performance at auction really tells the story of how artistic branding contributes to both intrinsic and market value, moving it beyond liquid asset to cultural icon.
Okay, so we've sort of uncorked the stories, the staggering values of these iconic bottles. But what if your collection doesn't happen to feature a Rothschild or a Margaux? How do pawnbrokers apply these same principles to any fine wine or spirit collection? Maybe a rare champagne, an aged port, a precious Madeira, even a cherished cognac. How does it work when you're looking for a loan?
Right, it's really a blend of art and science. And it's a comprehensive process looking at multiple layers. First, naturally, is the vintage and rarity. What year was it produced? How scarce is that particular vintage? Was it part of a small batch or maybe a particularly notable year for winemaking? A limited run from a great year will always command more value.
Okay. And then obviously the provenance we talked so much about. Where did it come from? Which vineyard, producer? Does it have the right paperwork? And importantly, is that original presentation box still there? These seem like critical links in the chain of custody, is that right?
Absolutely spot on. That verifiable chain of custody is paramount. For us, or any reputable lender, robust provenance removes doubt about authenticity and origin, which directly means reduced risk and higher confidence in the asset's value. Then, crucially, there's condition. This includes how well it's been stored, absolutely critical for preserving quality. We have to assess that.
Right. Temperature, light, all that.
Exactly. We also look at the physical condition of the bottle, the label again, and very importantly, the integrity of the cork. A compromised cork can mean a compromised wine, which drastically impacts the value. And finally, market dynamics. You can't ignore those. What's the current demand for similar wines? What's the general economic climate? What are recent auction results showing?
Got it. So it's really a careful blend of its history, its physical state now, and what the market is saying today. That's what determines the real value. It's a holistic approach, then, making sure every aspect of your collection is considered, not just if it has a famous name on the bottle.
Precisely.
So let's bring this back to the owner. What does all this mean for you if you're the one holding on to these valuable bottles? Why would someone actually choose to borrow against their wine collection instead of, just selling it?
Well, there are some really compelling advantages to these kinds of asset-based loans, specifically for fine wines. The number one reason, unlocking capital without having to permanently sell your prized collection. Many collectors really cherish these items. They're more than just an investment, right? This provides a way to get funds without sacrificing ownership.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it seems great for short-term access to capital, too. I mean, these special bottles, they often sit untouched in a cellar for years, decades even. So it feels like a perfect way to release money from assets that are just sitting there, illiquid.
Exactly. And the process itself is often much simpler than, say, a traditional bank loan. Less paperwork. Because you're leveraging a tangible asset, the burden of extensive financial disclosures is often reduced or removed entirely.
And privacy, too, I imagine.
Absolutely. Privacy and confidentiality are key. Because it's asset-backed, there are typically no credit checks involved. All the work is done discreetly. Your financial dealings remain private. You also get flexibility in repayment. Usually, you can repay the loan, plus any accrued interest at any point within the agreed contract term.
That's useful. And transparency.
Reputable pawnbrokers are very transparent. They'll typically offer 100% of the agreed loan price. No hidden charges, no contract fees. That can be a significant advantage over some other lending models.
Okay. And one critical point, what happens to the wine? Secure storage, right. While it's collateral, it's not just sitting in a back room somewhere.
Oh, absolutely not. That would defeat the purpose. These collections are stored securely with professional wine storage specialists, climate control, secure, everything needed to preserve their condition meticulously, so that they return to you exactly as they were.
Right. That really shows the professionalism and expertise that goes into this unique financial service. I remember hearing about someone who found like a hidden treasure in their cellar, thought it was just an old bottle, turned out to be incredibly valuable after valuation. Have you seen surprising discoveries like that in the world of wine collateral?
Oh, that kind of thing does happen. While obviously I can't share specific client details, it's not uncommon for someone to bring in a collection they inherited, maybe just forgot about. And then they're genuinely surprised by its significant market value today. It really underlines how sophisticated this industry has become. You have experts meticulously assessing every single detail. Take someone like David Sonnenthal, the founder of New Bond Street Pawnbrokers. His route into pawnbroking was actually quite unusual. He was a successful actor, first even won the big Perrier Award at the Edinburgh Fringe. Then he moved into pawnbroking, became this multi-award-winning pioneer in the UK industry. You see him on British TV sometimes, like on Channel 4's Four Rooms.
Oh, interesting background.
Yeah, his journey kind of highlights that blend of passion, professionalism, and real expertise that defines the luxury pawnbroking sector now. What's really fascinating here is how this whole approach offers a sophisticated way to manage your assets. It gives you financial agility without forcing you to sacrifice ownership of items you might cherish.
So we've journeyed quite a way today. From the storied vineyards of Bordeaux, exploring the legacies of giants like Chateau Lafite Rothschild, Chateau Margaux, Chateau Mouton Rothschild, to really understanding the intricate valuation process. How these liquid treasures get transformed into tangible financial instruments. We've seen how things like age, storage, provenance, even those artistic labels, how they all contribute to the worth and how every single detail matters.
And we've highlighted the practical benefits for you, the collector. Accessing capital quickly, privately, flexibly, all while knowing your cherished bottles are being kept securely. It really is about leveraging the inherent value that's already in your collection, but without having to sell it off. So if you do possess wines like these, maybe a Chateau Petrus, a Chateau Margaux, Lafite, Mouton, just to name a few that are routinely loaned against you again, now have a better understanding of their potential. These luxury pawnbrokers, they are equipped and ready to assist in unlocking that value.
So the next time you look at that special bottle of wine in your collection, maybe consider not just the vintage, the aroma, or the taste, but think about the entire journey it's taken, from the vineyards to the cellar, and maybe, just maybe, to a temporary new role as a key that unlocks your financial potential. It does raise an important question, doesn't it? What other hidden assets might be sitting quietly in your life, just waiting for you to discover their true, multifaceted value?